Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday live stream. We got a lot of things to go over, so let's just jump right into it. So first of all, just like the title and thumbnail suggest, it's a great day to be in crypto, great day to be in digital assets. And this is a prediction or a talk given by lead analyst Eric Balchunas. And if you don't know Eric, he is the one of the ones, of him and Jeffrey Seifert, who actually called out the Bitcoin ETF was going to be approved. Now, when I first heard about these guys, I was like, there's no way it's going to happen. It hasn't happened yet. I don't think it's going to happen. And of course, I was proven totally wrong. And with this one, I think this is a pretty good catalyst for potentially altcoins running up in Q4 of 2025. It's amazing how good timing is. Here's what we got. Bloomberg analyst Balchunas puts odds of Litecoin, Solana, and XRP ETF at 100%. And that's not only those three. There's some other ones we can talk about. After the 19B4s rendered meaningless from the SEC. So the odds of the SEC approval now 100%. Some ETF products could launch within days after the agency's new generic listing standards for crypto ETFs rendered 19B4 forms meaningless. Here's what we got. So Bloomberg previously predicted about a 90 to 95% chance of approval by the end of the year. Again, I thought it was kind of high, but again, I'm not the expert. Those guys are, and they've got a pretty good track record. And Eric states generic listing standards make the 19B4s and their clock meaningless. Remember that, the Bitcoin ETF, it would say, okay, you got this much time to approve or deny, or approve or extend, and they would always extend it. They would extend it, and they would extend it. They'd ask for feedback, and then by the time it would go all through the process, they'd be like, you know what, denied. And then that's how it was. Well, they're going to get away from that and go through another route. And he states let me go back. That just leaves the S1s waiting for a formal green light from the SEC, because now we're going from 19B4s to this S1 formation. And they just submitted amendment number 4 for Solana. This could come any day, so be ready. And we'll see. SEC deadlines for potential approval of various issuers. Litecoin, Solana, and ETFs were set for October 2nd. I believe that will be Thursday. October 10th and then October 17th, respectively. October 17th being the cutoff. However, the SEC could now approve or deny these at any time. Wouldn't that be great? Again, moving forward. And perfect timing, Q4. 19B filings are part of a two-step application. They go through the exchanges such as NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, and CBOE. Now we're going to go to the S1 registration statement. It's filed by issuers and doesn't result in any deadlines. The move fast-tracks pending crypto ETF apps and cuts potential review times from 240 days to as little as 75. This is looking pretty good. And NASDAQ, ARCA, CBOE can now list and trade crypto funds that meet the generic standards without filing new 19B4 forms. All this means is like this. Look, what this means is that they don't have to go through all this paperwork and all this red tape, and they're just going to file these S1s. S1s are going to come in, they're going to either approve or deny, and they're going to get a bunch of them. And they're going to be a bunch of them, just like Bitcoin, Ethereum. And it's going to also be these, because for the stipulation for this to go through, for the ETF, it has to include futures, which Bitcoin and Ethereum do on Coinbase derivatives and other ones. You've got Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Dogecoin, Polkadot, Avalanche, Chainlink, Stellar, Solana, Hedera, Cardano, and XRP. So all those are right in line with being pushed forward. Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comment section. I think this could be big, but as a reminder, when the Ethereum ETF came through, it was actually made fun of because it didn't do anything for quite some time. And now, of course, it blew up because of these DATs, these digital asset treasuries. So we'll see how it goes. But I was thinking to myself, well, what is the kind of interest in altcoins these days? Because it seems like everybody's Bitcoin heavy, and of course, we talk about altcoins, and some do great, some slip off. But I took a look over at Google Trends. I was kind of surprised that the search term, now this doesn't give you monthly numbers. It just gives you like the interest over time. 100 be the most interest, 0 be no interest, essentially. And I put this over 5 years worldwide. I did the search term for altcoin. And we can come back and maybe in the Q&A and check any other different types of search terms. But you can see here that in 2021, where you think there'd be the most amount of searches and interest, because that's when everything popped off, it wasn't. It was actually August 10th through 16th of 2025. That's like a month ago. Well, a month and a half ago. And that's when they had the most interest as far as altcoin searches. Now, it's leveled off a lot, but I can't guarantee anything. But I got a pretty good feeling that if we get these ETFs and things start to run off, there might be more interest, more people might come back. We'll see how it goes. I'm very hopeful. Anyhow, that's what we have for that piece. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. And then also moving forward, as far as like the SEC, it's not just the ETFs that are going to take over. It's going to be tokenization of assets. This is Nate Garazzi. He's the president of Nova DS Wealth, host of ETF Prime, co-founder of ETF Institute. Knows a couple things. He says, hey, guess what? New York Stock Exchange, the world's largest stock exchange, just met with the SEC Crypto Task Force. What was the topic? Well, here was the agenda. Considerations regarding trading of tokenized equities and structures for facilitating such trading. Legal and regulatory considerations implicated by tokenization of equities, meaning tokenizing stocks. Regulatory treatment of specific model of tokenization, regulatory process for enabling implementation of new models. This will open up a huge amount of people to be able to get into it. And people say, well, it's so easy right now. I got Robinhood. I can do this on Kraken. I can do this on my brokerage. I can do that. Yeah, you can. There's other people that don't have access to things like that. And all they're looking for is a tokenization model. And that'll open up to everybody with a smartphone. So I see this as a step in the right direction for sure. And that's just on tokenization. Now let's get into my favorite subject, one of my two favorite subjects. Next one's AI. And that would be stablecoins. And if you listen to this channel, I'm not going to bore you to death of why I think stablecoins would be great. It's the chains that they're built on. It's the ETHEREUM, the Solanas, the BNBs, the Arbitrums, the Trons, all that great stuff. Well, now Visa's moving forward with that, as they just had a trial with USDC. So Visa Direct tests stablecoins as cash equivalent for instant transfer. This was announced at the Sibos 2025, big conference, I guess. The Visa Direct stablecoin pilot enables select partners to use Circle's USD and the EURC, whatever that is. I'm going to guess that's some kind of Europe stablecoin. Good luck, Europe. Anyhow, Visa Direct's new stablecoins integration lays the groundwork for money to move instantly across the world, giving businesses more choice in how they pay. I think this is pretty big, especially for any small business, medium business, even large business. Transactional costs, there's no reason why we should pay Visa and MasterCard 2% plus 30 cents per transaction fee, depending on how big you are, when we can just send an email across the world in no time in the internet. It makes no sense. It still doesn't make any sense. It boggles my mind. So like when we talk about stablecoins, I think that's the future, and Visa knows it. And Visa knows it so much, they track it on their website. But I digress. Let's come back. So the pilot is designed for banks, remittance services, and financial institutions seeking to optimize liquidity. Visa says it has settled over a whopping $225 million, that's nothing, in stablecoin volume to date, though that remains a small fraction of its $16 trillion in annual payments. I don't think that's even correct. I want to say that payments, as far as globally, well, that's just Visa, but payments globally, I'm going to say is over 100. I want to say it's a quadrillion. I don't think it's anywhere in the trillions, but I could be wrong. I'll have to look it up. The pilot is currently limited to partners that meet Visa's internal criteria, with plans for a broader rollout in 2026. So maybe there is something to be said for an extended cycle. I'll leave that to the experts. They can fight about that. Visa's move to use stablecoins for cross-border payments come the day after SWIFT. SWIFT, of course, since the late 1950s, early 1960s, which is the messaging service that all the banks use globally to move funds around. It's archaic, it's ancient, and they still use it today. But anyhow, SWIFT announced it was collaborating with Consensus, the Ethereum developer Consensus, and over 30 financial institutions to build a blockchain-based settlement platform aimed at enabling 24/7 real-time cross-border payments. And people say, well, that's no good because that's going to be not open source, it'll be closed source. That'll be just within their own parameters, and it won't be a real true blockchain. I think they've already trialed that, and they found out that, oh yeah, that doesn't work as well as like an open decentralized ledger. So we'll see if they go a different route with Ethereum and Consensus. I think they will if they're sharp, but we'll see. And then just before I move on, the website I'm always talking about visaonchainanalytics.com. This is, I think I linked this in the description, but it's visaonchainanalytics.com. Visa on-chain analytics. And you can play around with this too. But you see these stablecoin transaction, you got that and stablecoin transaction volume. But you can reduce like these no-namers. I shouldn't call them no-namers, but they're low volume. USDG, okay. FDUSD I've heard of, and USDP, yeah. PayPal USD. But you can take those off, and you see it does actually no bearing to the transaction volume over here. But you can see that the top ones are Avalanche. I'll just show you. Avalanche. Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know Avalanche was that big. Avalanche, Optimism, Ethereum, Arbitrum, Solana, Binance. Interesting. Interesting, because Tron's way down there now. Huh. See, things flipping in a heartbeat. But then you can take off USDC, which, you know, that's Tether is the majority, but USDC is closely behind. It's 93% of the total volume. Now you got, now for just Tether, number one is Arbitrum. Huh, look at that. Binance, Optimism, CeeLo, Avalanche, Polygon. Interesting. But then, of course, if you go back, you can see it's Tron, Ethereum, BTC, so on and so forth. Then you do the same thing with stablecoin transaction count. But if you want to just get the bulk of it, just use this one. It's the very last one. Stablecoin cumulative metrics. Did you know that Tether, the most volume is on Tron at 3.4 trillion? But like we just talked about with the USDC trial, that one with Visa, take a look at the top USDC. It's Ethereum. You got to skip these two because that's USDT. Solana, Base, which Base is Base, Arbitrum, and Polygon. So if you think maybe USDC will win that war, then maybe you would want to get into some of these blue chippers. Ethereum, Solana, Base, well, you can't, and Polygon. Anyhow, I think those are all winners right there, but I could be wrong. I'm kind of biased. I own a big bags of them. And then moving from stable coins to more stable coins, we're talking about USDC. I just wanted to bring this up is that Tether just bought 8,800 Bitcoin worth $1 billion, and they do this every so often. And of course, they're shoring up their account. They have to back all of the Tether that they print with some type of assets, whether that be treasuries, whether it be dollars, whether that be Bitcoin. So that's good. But also, Tether is looking at using Bitcoin as a stable coin. And not that, obviously, you can't use Bitcoin as a stable coin. It's way too volatile, and it's like $114,000. And soon to be $250,000 if you believe Tim Draper. But what they're doing is they want to buy Bitcoin. They want to use the stability of, say, Lightning Network for transactions. And I think that's the big difference between USDC, which you see which ones they're actually using, and Tether, and you can see which ones they're using. It's a different dichotomy about what's going on. So it depends on where you think things are actually going to go forward. Do you think that Bitcoin can handle those transactions on the Lightning Network to do payments day to day? Or do you think that's never going to happen? I'm going to go over here with USDC, and I'm going to invest into Ethereum, Solana, Polygon, and so on and so forth. I personally think it could be done, but we'll see how it goes. So there's that piece, and then not to be outdone for blue chippers, Chainlink is also in the game with all these stable coins because you need an oracle. You want to pull out that outside data, especially for the non-volatility that is the stablecoin market. Chainlink expands industry initiative with 24 banks to cut $58 billion of corporate sludge or action costs. So Chainlink announced on Monday that 24 major financial institutions and market infrastructures, including Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, SWIFT, which we just take a look at, and Euroclear have joined its initiative to overhaul corporate actions processing. So don't sleep on Chainlink. It could be a pretty big thing. And of course, they're in the running because they know, hey, payments are going to be a big deal. Digital Asset News said it, so it should be true. And if that's the case, then maybe we need to be on top of that, and that's where the money is. Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comments. And to finish up, AI. This is going to be the narrative for the next cycle, and actually for the next 5 years. Actually, it's the biggest thing I think that's happening. Akash founder Greg Osuri warns that AI training may trigger global energy crisis, and that's where Akash comes in. It's a decentralized way to use GPUs and to use that compute, and then so that corporations and institutions can do those things, and they can have the compute to run the large language models. That's what Akash kind of does. And also there's another one that I like, Aether. But this is what he said. Osuri said the industry underestimates how fast compute demands are multiplying and their environmental costs. He knows that data centers already consume hundreds of megawatts of fossil fuel power. And like I said, this is no small thing. We talked about this on Sunday. There is so much energy production that has to be used to run these GPUs, to get this compute power, to allow the ChatGPTs, to allow the Groks, to allow the deep thinks to actually go out and do the artificial intelligence part of what they were made for. And it takes a ton of energy. Look at this. Beginning of 2025, this is how much ChatGPT used, 0.23, I guess that's gigawatts. Correct me in the comment section. I think that's what it is. And then by the end of 2025, it's going to be two full gigawatts. Annual growth is 1.8x. So by 2033, let me do some quick math here. All right, 8 years, that's going to be 250 gigawatts needed of power, which is more than India, Germany, the UK, Singapore, Ireland, Iceland, and Malta combined. Actually, no, not combined, but pretty close. The United States uses 408 gigawatts. So that's just ChatGPT. How much do you think Grok's going to use? How much do you think going to use? How much do you think globally this is going to be? This is a big, important issue. I think if you think that AI is going to be a big thing, or if you think it's nothing, maybe, who knows? Bloomberg reported that AI data centers, I didn't know this, are sending power costs surging in the United States. According to the report, wholesale electricity costs have risen 267% in 5 years in areas near data centers. So if I'm living near a data center and my bill went up 3x in 5 years roughly, I'm not staying there. If I can get out. Interesting, I think there was a big complaint about Bitcoin miners in America and how much electricity they are using. And there was a big thing about that. But this, people just complain a little bit, but they'd move on. The alternative is decentralization. Instead of concentrating chips and energy in single mega data centers, Osuri said that you can distribute them across networks of smaller mixed GPUs. And after this, it gets kind of boring. I'm not going to read it. But it goes like this. It's a ton of energy. Akash is trying to beat that with decentralization. And then also, one of my favorite projects, probably because I own a bunch of it, is Aether. And they just got picked up as a digital asset treasury. NASDAQ listed Predictive Oncology launches, wow, 344 million treasury focused on Aether. And Predictive Oncology, or POAI, they just picked it up and said, we're going to put this on our balance sheet, and that's going to bolster our stock. Now we'll see if it actually works out. Again, you've got Akash, you got Aether. This is pretty big news. What did this do for the price of Aether? Nothing. It went down 18%. And this is the beauty of the digital asset market. Nothing but good news for Aether, and what drops by 18%. Why is that? I don't know. Probably more seller than buyers. So look for that to turn around. There's a link in the description where I talk about, I did this video on Aether on March 27, 2024. Man, that was a year and a half ago. And I just said, it's like this. They do the same thing. They take these GPUs, and maybe they're underutilized, and they max them out, and then they pay the data centers for the maximization of those GPUs in Aether. And then, of course, the corporations that say, I need compute power, or I'm part of a large language model, I need compute power. Great, pay us, and we'll pay these guys. And then, of course, because of that, if you have a token, we'll use that to actually pay back our investors, which would be you guys. So anyhow, check that out. And then lastly, I would be remiss if I didn't talk politics, because everybody loves that subject. But it's not a big thing. U.S. government's going to be shut down tomorrow, it looks like. And this is on Polymarket. I was kind of stunned because like just 2 or 3 days ago on Polymarket, this was like a 50-50 shot. And then all of a sudden, 88%. And actually, before I started this, I think it was like 85, 84. So look for the government to shut down tomorrow. Don't worry. We've had plenty of them. It's just all bolstering and people puffing their chest out to see what they can do. And yeah, it's going to suck for a bit. There's going to be volatility, but it's not going to kill you. And that's the government. Inept as usual. And also shout out to Shane Coplin, CEO of Polymarket. He is now on the, I guess, in Time Magazine as the next 100. And I got to tell you, Polymarket, I do like them because it's like a leading indicator. You can check that out, and they kind of give you like information before they get information. It's pretty cool. My friend Bobby also gambles on it. And that's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Everything we talk about is time sensitive. Now, if you got some time, you can ask me any question. I'll answer all the questions I possibly can, and we'll go from there. All right, everybody, that's it for this one. Thanks so much. We got to take off. I appreciate you. And now let's get into a little Q&A. Rob is on the same time as James again. Yeah, this is going to keep happening, I think, because like here in Puerto Rico, it's like 4 o'clock. If I wait too long, then it gets too dark. I don't really like doing that. We can see the edge of your green screen. That's true. It's always a green screen. This is, see, either that or I'm shifting in time. Just a green screen. Swift versus XRP. Let's see. Ryan says, how much do you think anyone's going to send terabytes of their training data models and proprietary algorithms to someone else's machine to run for a service cost requiring inefficient chain tokens? I have no idea. I'm not here to change that part of the world, just here to change my bank account. And let's let Aether figure that out. Let's see. Do you think stables will eventually replace fiat for everyday life? It'll be a slow process, but I mean, they are superior if you think about it. I mean, especially if you travel and go anywhere. And then also, you know, if I'm a business and I want people to come in, I would give them a discount to use stable coins. Like, hey, you want to use any stable coins or any crypto? I'll give you like 5% off. Because then, actually, you know what would be great about that? There's these companies, and you've seen them, and that could be in your hometown, that could be when you travel, but they're like cash only. We only take cash. Cash is it. Really, can I pay you in debit or credit? No. Can I pay you the check? No. Cash only. Okay, so cash. I used to go to a chiropractor down the street. Great lady. But cash only, that was it. And I was like, it's a pretty good idea, actually, because if you have cash only, very hard to track for, you know, the central, like I said, like the IRS or somebody. And of course, you know, you as a business owner, you will definitely count every penny and dime that comes in, and you report that to the IRS. Obviously, you do that, right? But, you know, if you forget a couple of transactions, these things happen. So, like, if I'm a business, I got to tell you, I much rather use stable coins. Take that as you will. But yeah, I think there's good adoption, especially when small, medium, and large businesses kind of figure that out. Let's see. Eric says, Rob, is it better now to buy and rent out PR properties or just buy Bitcoin? Probably just buy Bitcoin. Yeah, everybody knows the story. You know, in 2020, when I first got here in Puerto Rico, we bought a condo, paid cash because the banks are very slow here. And it was great, but it was November or December of 2020. And I think Bitcoin was around $10,000, somewhere around there. And the condo cost around $180,000. So I could have bought, at that point, 18 Bitcoin. What would that be worth? Well, we sold that condo for $325. Not bad, right? But who won out? Well, not us. Although it had a nice revenue generation. And of course, because it was short-term Airbnbs. But it's more hassle. So right now, I wouldn't buy a bunch of properties. The only way I would do it is if I'm in a community which has a lot of houses that are dilapidated and are essentially just underrun and just awful, and there's a housing shortage. If that was the situation, then I would want to step in and help the community for that. And that would be like something you can do in Puerto Rico. But it's not like it's something that you do to make a bunch of money and just sit around and do nothing. It's a pain in the A. So is Bitcoin a pain in the A? No, it's not. You buy it, you stick it on your TANGEM, and you just say, that's fun. And you just check it every so many months and like, no, it's going up, great. Marty, Rob, do you think memes are done? I hope so. Sick and tired of them taking money from utility tokens except Doge, of course. I'm healthy there. I think, I don't think memes are done completely. There's always going to be the degenerate gamblers out there. And I see them still gambling, but slowly but surely, the people that are in the crypto space, they start to understand that, oh, remember 2021 when there was this great thing called alt season? Oh, that was a great time. Well, I don't know if you've seen it, but I mean, statistically, or speaking just from the numbers, altcoin season, and we talked about this before, is when the top 50, 75% or more of the top 50 altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin over the last 90 days. If we take a look at it, altcoin season is here. Does it feel like altcoin season to you? Well, by the definition, that is altcoin season per se. Sure as heck doesn't feel like it. So I think that altcoin season 2021 and altcoin season 2025 are totally massively different. And I think it's really important that we focus on the projects that do something, have actual utility, actually generate revenue, actually have TVL, and have a solid team and people behind them. I think if you do that and find those projects, that's where you win. It's not just going, what's that? Dog with hat? Sounds awesome. Here's my entire life savings. That's not going to work this time. I don't think. It might, but I'm not going to do it. All right. What else we got? Daniel says, would you sell all of your crypto if Satoshi moved a single Bitcoin to another wallet? I would have to think really hard, because then I'm thinking to myself, first of all, who actually is Satoshi Nakamoto? Was it really the CIA, like I've been told? Or was it like Dan Pena, who said that Bitcoin's going to go to zero because he knew exactly who it was? Now I got to think about all that. It would make me think a lot, but who knows who it was? I could name some names. Some people say it's Hal Finney. Of course, he passed away. But, you know, I think he was survived by his wife. So maybe if he was, then maybe she has those mnemonic phrases to move everything, or that paper wallet. Who knows? And then maybe some people say it's Jack Dorsey, and he's already a billionaire, so he's not going to move anything. He does seem likely, but people say, no, there's no way it could be because of this, and this. So who knows? I think it would scare the hell out of me, though. I'm not going to lie. Why are stable coins only pegged to USD? There's other stables that are pegged to gold, like Pax Gold and stuff like that. But, I mean, Simon, I don't know where you're at, but like which currency would you like the stable coins? I'm just curious. And everybody can answer this. This is a question for everybody. Where would you like or what currency would you like your stable coin pegged to? Would you like it pegged to, say, like the euro, the lira, the peso, the renminbi, the baht? I mean, what would you like it pegged to? Me personally, everywhere I go, especially in Europe, they are fine taking dollars. They have no problems whatsoever. But as soon as I whip out a peso, they're like, what the hell is that? And it doesn't work out. So I just think that most people just want dollars. I know some people say, the cash is trash and da-da-da. I bet if you travel, find some reasonable places, they're all going to take the dollar, even though we print the heck out of it. Robert says, still like Aster? Yeah, I still like Aster. See, the great thing, so Aster is this perp trading, decentralized one, pretty much propped up by CZ. And I told everybody, and this is the same thing I talk about with Avantis. Avantis is the same thing, perp trading, but it's Brian Armstrong and Coinbase. And we talked about it. Avantis was like 2 weeks ago, and Aster was probably a week ago. And I said specifically, once this doubles, and I don't care like how great it could potentially be, I still think it's going to go up massively. But once it doubles, I always sell half. And that way I have no stress. This is why I am most every day. And like, you know, like when the market's really down, I'm like, oh, it sucks. The market's really up, I'm like, hey, it's good. But, you know, these are the rules that I have. And I just look at Astra, I'm like, ooh, down today, 18, 20%, that sucks. And that's it. Apparently there's some kind of airdrop or unlock tomorrow, which might drop it by like, I don't know, 50% or more. So if that happens and you're into Astra and you're over, you might want to take a look at that. I'm not telling you to sell because I think it will still rebound. But we'll see. That is me, Rob. I also have a cat with that. That was a good one, actually. Ed says we're patiently waiting for the tourists to arrive. You know, I think the tourists are smarter now. I always feel like we're that hunter, you know, just sitting there with our bow and arrow, just waiting for them to come in so we can dump on them. Maybe they figured it out. I don't know. Tomato coin, also useless. Also in on useless NFA. All in on useless non-financial advice, yeah. Matthew says, hey, Rob, what's your take on the PMI and the business cycle as a whole? So there's a new theory coming around by Raoul Pal and now a host of people who's saying because of this business cycle, because of the PMI and the elongation, now it's a 5-year cycle, not a 4-year cycle. Could be right, could be wrong, I don't know. I just look at it and say, and we talked about this actually on the price prediction video, which we did on Saturday. And there was 3 gentlemen. One of those was Nathan Rothschild. And another one was JP Morgan, the third. But they said the same thing, which is I made most of my money by never selling the top and buying too soon. And when I take a look at it and say, maybe it is a 5-year cycle, and maybe Bitcoin goes from whatever it is today, I don't even know, to 150,000 by the end of this year, maybe. And then maybe it goes up to 170, 180, 200,000 in you know, Q2 2026. If that happens, I'd be like, oh, that's great. But, and then maybe altcoins go up by another 2x or 3x. But here's my question for everybody. What if they don't? What if that theory doesn't pan out, like the extended cycle theory didn't pan out? Why if it doesn't pan out like Bitcoin to 150K last cycle or 100K last cycle? And everybody was looking at $67,000 in November and saying, that's not right. Everybody said it's going to be at least 100. I'm holding on in diamond hands, baby. And then it dropped to 17,000 in a year. I just look at it like this. I'm like, I'm still going to have to take profits. Maybe I don't take as much, but I'm going to take a big chunk off the board. And just like I laddered in, I will ladder out. So as far as like the PMI and the business cycle, it could be right. I don't know. But watch that price prediction video. Raoul Pal had some real zingers in there. Running Bitcoin. Keep it a mystery. I don't get this. I have played poker with Satoshi's mother-in-law. She told me that his are still back to the CP. See, perfect. Brain's here. Ben's chair is here. A lot of unreasonable places take the dollar as well. Yeah, exactly. Brian says, seems like it would be easiest to peg stables to Bitcoin. There is nothing stable about Bitcoin. That would be crazy. Imagine, because right now everybody's excited about you know, Bitcoin and the possibility of Q4. But I want to take you back to April, May, June of 2022. Remember those days? Fun days. Or actually, I'll take you back to April of 2021 when Bitcoin hit 64,000. I remember, you know, you say, well, let's just peg it to that. Well, from April of 2021 to roughly 2 months later, maybe 3, can't remember exactly, you had went from 64,000 to 29,000. So imagine pegging a stable coin to Bitcoin, and then, you know, you get paid and you have it in your savings account. And it's like, whoops, it's actually only worth 50% of what it was before. And for some people, they're like, who cares? I have Bitcoin, but that's pegged to stable coin. That's not going to work. I don't think it's going to work that well. I think you can still use Lightning Network for payments, but as far as like a stable, I don't see it. Let's see. Raul, we asked you to be included in the great altcoin handoff later this year. Oh, you bet your bottom dollar it will be. I don't dump on people. I have refrained from using that terminology. Now I talk about how I bequeath those bags to the younger, smarter generation of investor as I lay them down, and they are welcome to pick them up and run with them as far as the eye can see. And it's just me handing off my bags instead of dumping unceremoniously on them as they buy them. So, Tomas, yes, I'll be handing them off. Rob, other than Puerto Rico, just looking at the location for friendly Bitcoin regulation. I mean, we took a look at Portugal. That looked like a pretty good place. And we looked at Dubai, but I'm not going to live on the surface of the sun. Dubai is like, I like hot weather. I'm not moving there. Just every time we do NFA live and Guy is talking to us about, you know, like in the summer or spring months, he's miserable. So I'm like, thank God I didn't move there. And Portugal could have been a thing, but I like being here because, you know, if I have to get back to family, home, or places that they live, I have a 4-hour flight. So that's about it. That's why I like it here. And it's great here. It's pretty nice. Matter of fact, I'm going to go to the beach right after this. Let's see. Bright Bison asks, how many people here have traded 1001x leverage on that? That's a good question. Has anybody done the leverage play? As I understand it, the more Aster you own, the higher your leverage you can be. We'll see. That's a good one. Brian says, what we need is some kind of algorithmic stablecoin backed by a load of Bitcoin and hot air. Nothing could go wrong. Exactly. That sounds like a recipe for disaster. Back in the day, Luna, which, you know, Mike Novogratz has a nice, beautiful tattoo on his arm. Let's see. How long do you think Bitcoin dominance will run up? Ben's been pretty right for some time. He thinks this is going to be a pretty big run up. I just watched his video, the last transfer or whatever it is about Bitcoin dominance. I think it's going up right now. So October, but again, historically speaking, October is a pretty big month for Bitcoin. But you look at November, December, that's when everything kind of breaks out. October is like the transition. Then November, December is like, when am I going to sell? That could pan out again, or it could be totally incorrect. There are many, many of indicators like we've talked about on this channel. One I like is this one over at coinglass.com. And it'll tell you, like, you know, all these different indicators and how far away they are from actually hitting. Like the Pi cycle top is almost 58% close. So once it hit 100%, it's going to say, hey, it's time to sell. Altcoin season index, like I was talking about, 94%. Bitcoin dominance, 89%. And so on and so forth. But then I didn't know this about Ben's site, which is pretty cool. If you go to, like, what's everybody's favorite altcoin? Let's just say, let's say Solana. You put Solana in there, and then you can see all the different charts that Solana is involved with. Like you have the risk, historical risk levels, which is pretty good. But I like these ones because, first of all, it's simple. I'm a simpleton. And you can see that, like, oh, this is a good time to maybe sell some. And then, of course, the risk levels, the higher they go, the more heated it is, and the more opportunity to say is, maybe I should sell some of that. Time and risk bands, risk levels, moving averages. I didn't know they have this. Look at that. Sol bull market support band. 20-week simple moving average, exponential moving average. Ah, nice. And I can do stuff like that. And if you're into macro nerds, then a bunch of stuff over here. It's not me. But yeah, pretty cool. So I like those. And then, of course, my favorite. This dashboard one, when it puts them all together, gives you a summary. Like, if this thing ever loads. Oh, there we go. So you can just kind of tell when, like, oh, the price metrics, on-chain, and social metrics is saying it's crazy high. I should probably sell some. And over here, crazy high. And then 2022. Look at November 2022. Social metrics were high because everybody was freaking out and watching videos. But of course, on-chain and price metrics were in the toilet. But yeah, just something to take a look at. Anyhow, links in the description if you want to check out. And Ben's site, there's a good amount that's free. Just sign up for the free stuff. And then if you want to dip your toes into the other stuff, you can do that. Go Cubs. Chicago. All in on EOS. It's pretty solid play. Bad Bunny just announced for the halftime show for the Super Bowl. See how that works out? Simon says, sweat never caught on, Rob. Yeah, that's true. I thought I'd do pretty well, but sucked. Just didn't happen. I feel like that's like our job as an investor is just to, okay, well, this might do well, this might do this. And then, of course, they don't all do well. As long as 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 pop off, that's pretty good. But that's just like all VCs, right? Like I just saw there was an article about Coinbase Ventures and how much they're actually putting in. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars to all these different projects, just an incubation platform. And they know that most of them are going to fail. They know that, but they don't care because they're just like, well, as long as we have 2 or 3 that really, you know, are the next XYZ platform, great. We don't need all these guys to be winners. They're going to be losers. And that's pretty much how it is. Just like sweat. Seamus. Is dumping non-inclusive language now. Exactly. I don't want to offend anybody. Like if, you know, if you're an anti-dumper, I don't want to offend those or the dumpee. Or maybe you're a closet dumper. And you're like, I don't want to be called that. So I just say that you are a bag transporter. That's what you are now. Moonlight says, Rob, your video on how to buy dog on XRP was great. Are you still holding? Unfortunately, I think it's not doing so hot. These are the things I really need to track a little better. But yeah, I probably got that. Ed says, can that social metric be any deader? No. Across the board, everybody's views are down. I mean, for the most part. But there's just not that much interest. And that's okay. It's actually much, like, for me, it's much better because I got all you guys. And you guys are the OGs of the space and have been with me for a long time and buying during the bear, and things are good. The ones that annoy the hell out of me are the ones that just come in and the tourist. And like, Dan's a moron. I'm the best trader of all time. He should do this, this, and this. And it's just annoying. So right now, I'm actually having a good time. Hello, Dennis. I think I'm on a crypto burnout. I don't even think the euphoric phase is a thing. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think the time is coming for us to ride off into the sunset. Splint says, hey, Rob, I noticed that Apple Store still has that fake CoinLedger app in there just so you can spread the word. Yeah, guys, Splint, when I talked about CoinLedger and about downloading or using their, I'll show you. This doesn't make any sense unless I show you. There's a website called coinledger.io. There's a link in the description which takes you to coinledger.io. It is my only tax software that I use. And after months and months of begging, they did a free portfolio tracker. And when you click on this, you can go through the process and you can set everything up. What's great is that you see your unrealized gains and losses. You see where all your crypto is. And what's even better is during the time when you have to actually do taxes, which nobody likes to do those, it's all set into the system and you just click a button and spits it out and you send it to your CPA or to your tax software. Perfect, right? Splint went and did a search over on the Apple App Store, and there is a fake CoinLedger app in there. I told the guys, I actually emailed them too. I said, go and find this app and tell them that is a scam app. I'm going to guess they did. I'll double check with them. But Apple's slow to move anyhow. So if I talk about anything, don't do all the Googling and don't do all the searching. I already did that for you. So just use my links in the description. And also it's an affiliate link. So I'm just saying. You don't have to use the affiliate link, but you can be like Splint and almost get hacked. It's up to you. Cruising out of San Juan in April. Any suggestions for a cool hotel near the port? Nah, not really. I mean, just any of them are great, especially by that port down there off of Ocean Park and well, down more west. Yeah, western part of it. They're all pretty good. And of course, the beaches are immaculate and the people are great. So just watch out for those tostones. They're disgusting. All right. Dispassionate is money. Yep. This is also true. Number one spectator sport is NCAA football. And Jim Cramer is now bullish on crypto. Well, that was a good run, everybody. Closet dumper, exactly. Let's see. I'm a bag transporter. Yeah, exactly. Just do that. DiCaprio says, what do you think about Litecoin's Lite VM integration coming soon? You know, I really haven't paid attention to Litecoin. Maybe I'm just fading it, as the kids say. And maybe there's something to be said because it's still around. I mean, in the last NFA show, we were not too kind to it. So I'll take a look and see what they have coming in the pipe. Hopefully they can, you know, re-grab. But again, they're still in the top 30. So that's pretty good. But everybody, that's it for today. I think I answered all your questions. We're coming up on almost an hour. But that's it for this one. So this week, NFA live show on this channel, matter of fact. So Ben and Guy will be here, but that's it for today. Everybody, do me a favor. On your way out, hit the like button, leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you think about the video, what I should be talking about. Should I talk about Litecoin? Should I talk about more alts? Let me know. That's it for this one. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.